In the Bible, there's a story in the book of 2 Samuel, and David is the king of Israel, and David kind of got a little cocky and arrogant. He decided, man, I'm the most powerful king this nation has ever had. We're one of the most powerful nations in the whole thing. So he decided to take a census and to see how powerful and how big he was and his army was. And right after he did it, God didn't come and convict him, but he felt guilty and ashamed. He's like, so he reaches out to a prophet, and the prophet says, yeah, God's not that thrilled with what you did. And he says, there's going to be a plague coming. And David's like, what do I do? And the prophet didn't really give him a ton of direction, but David decided he was going to go and sacrifice, and he went looking for the appropriate place to sacrifice. And we pick it up in 2 Samuel 24, verse 22. He found a property. Araunah owned the property, and David says to him, I want your property so I can sacrifice to the Lord. And Araunah says to David, let my lord the king take and offer up what is good in his sight. Look, the oxen for the burnt offering, the threshing sledges, and the yokes of the offering for the wood. Everything, O king, Araunah gives to the king. And Araunah said to the king, may the Lord your God accept you. Now, I often put myself into the stories, and I'm thinking, if I was David, I would be praising God for his provision. I need to make a sacrifice. And here I go and ask the guy, hey, can I sacrifice on your land? And the landowner goes, I'll give you the land for yourself. I'll give you the oxen. I'll give you the wood. I'll give you whatever you want. Everything, O king, is yours. To which, if I was David, I'd be like, the Lord is good. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Like the Lord has provided all my needs. But look at David's response. David's response is no. He says this. He says, no, but I will surely buy it from you for a price. For I will not offer burnt offerings to the Lord my God, which cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. Now, it's interesting. What does it have to do with anything? And you think it's just a Bible story, it's not a big deal. Except that the land that Araunah owned was on Mount Moriah. And Mount Moriah also is where the Temple Mount is built. That the land that David bought to sacrifice to the Lord was the land that the temple resides on. In other words, the church is built on sacrifice. Now, why is that important for you and me? It's important for you and me because we live in a society that is all the convenience that provided for us. Our entire society, our entire marketplace, everything around us is designed to remove the sacrifice, to eliminate the cost. Like we can't spend enough time to cook a good meal so we can have a little box that we push a button on and going 2 minutes, woof, we're good. Like we're anything and everything, come on, everything and everything is convenient. And what that's done, and it's great, I'm not complaining. I like quick, easy, convenient. That's great. But what it's done is that's kind of created into our society and into our culture, and it's kind of bled into the church world and our religious acts too, where we don't know sacrifice anymore. And we look for convenience. And sacrifice is important. And the reason why it's important is, and Mother Teresa sums it up this way, the reason why it's important is because she said this, love to be real, it must cost. It must hurt. It must empty us of self. Love to be real, love for others. When we say for love and for impact, we're saying for love to be real, it must cost. It must hurt. There must be some sacrifice involved. It must include emptying of self. For love to be real to our God. David knew this. David knew this. For love to be real to his God, it must cost. It must hurt. It must empty us of self. Come on, any married couple knows this, right? For love to be real. Look at God's response to David's sacrifice. David built there an altar to the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. Thus the Lord was moved. You don't see that very often in the Bible. The Lord was moved by prayer for the land, and the plague was held back from Israel. God was moved, not by the amount that David gave, but by his sacrifice and insistence to be a giver.